Welcome, brave listeners, to the threshold of the unknown, where the veil between our world and the next is whisper thin, and where the echoes of the past cling to the present like shadows at dusk. Today, we delve into a tale that chills the soul and questions the boundaries of our reality. This is the story of the Sallie House, a seemingly ordinary home in Atchison, Kansas, that harbors secrets darker than the night itself. Within its walls, the Pikman family encountered an entity that defied explanation, an unseen force capable of physical harm and psychological torment. They came seeking a peaceful life, but what they found was a nightmare that challenged the very essence of their understanding of the world around them. Listeners, prepare yourselves for a journey into the heart of darkness, where the lines between the living and the dead blur. The tale of the Sallie House is not for the faint of heart. It's a story of fear, mystery, and the unrelenting grip of the supernatural. As we peel back the layers of this haunting, remember, the world is full of unexplained phenomena, of stories that lie just beyond the reach of reason. The Sallie House is but one chapter in the endless book of the paranormal that surrounds us, touching lives in ways unimaginable and leaving more questions than answers in its wake. So, turn down the lights, draw closer, and let us embark on this chilling journey together. This is the story of the Sallie House, where the past is never truly gone, and some spirits refuse to rest in peace. In the heart of Atchison, Kansas, stands a house that whispers tales of the past, a dwelling where the veil between this world and the next seems perilously thin. This is the Sallie House, a name that evokes curiosity and fear in equal measure, a place etched into the annals of paranormal history for its unexplained phenomena and the malevolent presence that lurks within its walls. Our story begins in the early 1990s, when Tony and Deborah Pikman, young and hopeful, crossed the threshold of the Sallie House, seeking a new chapter in their lives. Little did they know, they were stepping into a narrative far older and darker than any they could have imagined. The house, unassuming in its appearance, held secrets that reached back into the mists of time. Secrets that clung to the fabric of the building like a persistent shadow. The Sallie House's reputation as a haunted location was not well known to the Pikmans at the time of their arrival. The house had been the site of unexplained events for years, with its origins of hauntings rumored to trace back to the tragic death of a young girl named Sallie in the early 20th century. Though the details of her life and demise are shrouded in mystery. As Tony and Deborah settled into their new home, they were unaware of the chilling history that permeated the air around them, of the whispers in the dark, and the unseen eyes that watched their every move. The stage was set, the players were in place, and a curtain was about to rise on a tale of terror that would challenge the boundaries of their understanding and test the strength of their courage. This is not just a story of a haunted house. It's a journey into the heart of fear itself, where the unknown defies explanation, and the past refuses to be forgotten. As we delve deeper into the experiences of the Pikman family, remember, some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Welcome to the Sallie House, where every creak and whisper tells a story of its own, a story of darkness, of haunting, and of the unrelenting presence of Sallie. In the early days of their residency, the Pikman family's introduction to the Sallie House was akin to any new beginning, filled with hopes and dreams for the future. However, this ordinary start was soon overshadowed by occurrences that defied logical explanation, marking the onset of a journey into the unknown that would forever alter their perception of reality. It began subtly, with objects that seemed to move of their own accord. A toy placed on a shelf would be found on the floor, despite no one having touched it. Photographs turned to face the wall in rooms left vacant. The soft, yet unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed through empty corridors, as if an unseen presence moved within the house. These disturbances, initially dismissed as forgetfulness or the settling of an old structure, soon became too frequent and too specific to ignore. As the frequency of these unexplained events increased, so did the intensity. Doors would slam shut in the absence of any draft. Lights flickered without reason, and the temperature in certain rooms would drop suddenly, enveloping the occupants in an unseen chill. Whispers filled the air, too soft to discern but too persistent to dismiss, creating an atmosphere of constant surveillance by an unseen observer. It was during this time of growing unease that the Pikmans first heard the name Sallie. Neighbors and locals, familiar with the lore of the house, spoke of a young girl who once lived there and met a tragic end. They said her spirit lingered, trapped within the confines of her former home. Sallie, as she was known, was not just any ghost. She was a presence that had become almost a legend, her story intertwined with the very essence of the house. The family was skeptical at first, unwilling to believe that their home could be the domain of a restless spirit. But as the occurrences became more personal and more unsettling, they could no longer deny the reality of their situation. Objects belonging to the family would be found rearranged, as if by a child's hand, and Tony and Deborah would often wake to the sound of giggling in the dead of night, a sound that was both innocent and terrifying in its context. The introduction of Sallie into their lives was not through a dramatic manifestation, but through a series of small, inexplicable acts that gradually painted a picture of a young girl reaching out from beyond the veil, making her presence known. This realization marked a turning point for the Pikmans, as they came to accept that they were not alone in the Sallie House. Their home was a nexus of the natural and the supernatural, a place where the past refused to be silent, and the spirit of a child sought recognition, or perhaps something more. As the weeks turned to months within the walls of the Sallie House, the nature of its hauntings underwent a chilling transformation. No longer confined to mere playful or mysterious disturbances, the atmosphere within the home began to darken, signaling the presence of something far more malevolent than the Pikman family had initially feared. The first undeniable sign of this malevolent presence manifested upon Tony Pikman's very skin. What began as inexplicable scratches and marks, appearing without cause, soon escalated into more alarming injuries. Burns and welts, as if caused by an unseen aggressor, gnawed his flesh, each new injury defying rational explanation. These physical manifestations were not just attacks on the body. They were assaults on the mind, leaving Tony and his family grappling with the terrifying reality of their situation. The psychological toll on the family was profound. Sleep became elusive, as nights were filled with dread of what unseen horror might next make itself known. The once comforting sanctuary of their home had become a prison of fear and anxiety. The laughter and warmth that had filled their days were replaced by a suffocating sense of foreboding, as if the house itself was closing in on them, its walls impregnated with the echoes of past tragedies. This escalation of events forced the Pikmans to confront the possibility that the spirit they have come to know as Sallie was not the benign presence they had hoped. Instead, they faced an entity capable of physical harm, its intentions unclear, its actions increasingly hostile. Each new manifestation of its power served as a grim reminder of their vulnerability, challenging their resolve and their sanity. The psychological effects of the hunting were not limited to fear alone. The constant stress and anxiety began to fray the bonds that held the family together, turning doubt into suspicion and love into resentment. The once unbreakable unity of the Pikman family was tested as they struggled to understand the nature of the force that had invaded their lives, seeking ways to protect themselves from an enemy that was as intangible as it was relentless. In this chapter of their ordeal, the Pikmans came to understand the true nature of their situation. They were not merely witnesses to the supernatural. They were participants in a battle against an unseen foe, one that sought not just to scare, but to harm. As the physical manifestations grew in intensity, so too did their realization that the Sallie House was more than just a haunted location. It was a battleground between the living and the dead, a place where the past reached out with malevolent intent, threatening to consume them in its shadow. In their search for answers, the Pikman family turned to those who tread the shadowy realms between our world and the next, paranormal investigators. With a mix of hope and desperation, they invited these experts into the Sallie House, a decision that would peel back the veils on the unseen forces at play within its walls. Armed with an arsenal of equipment designed to capture evidence of the supernatural, the investigators set to work. They filled the silence of the house with the soft clicks and hums of their devices, each one a beacon in the dark, calling out to the entities that lingered unseen. It wasn't long before the cold spots made their presence known. Rooms that should have been warmed by the summer air were inexplicably chilled, as if icy fingers reached out from the void. These areas of sudden, unexplained cold seemed to drift through the house like specters, moving with intent, evading the warmth of the living. But it was the EVP, or electronic voice phenomena, recordings that captured the essence of the haunting. The investigators' audio equipment, left running in the quiet moments of their vigil, picked up voices from the ether. These were not the sounds of the living, but whispers and cries that had no source in the physical world. Some were mere fragments, lost words carried on the air, while others formed coherent sentences, reaching out from the darkness with messages that were at times pleading, at times menacing. Through these recordings, the presence of Sallie and perhaps others trapped within the house was given voice. The EVPs served as a chilling testament to the reality of the unseen, a bridge between worlds that offered insight but also raised new questions. Who were these voices? What did they want? And why were they bound to the Sallie House? The investigation brought a sense of validation to the Pikman family's experiences, offering evidence that their encounters were not figments of imagination, but interactions with a reality that exists just beyond the reach of the living. Yet, this evidence also deepened the mystery, painting a picture of a place caught in a web of spiritual energy, a nexus for the paranormal. As the investigators packed away their equipment, leaving behind more questions than answers, the family was left to ponder the true nature of the entities that shared their home. The EVP recordings and cold spots had provided a glimpse into the other side, but the path forward remained shrouded in uncertainty. The house, with its hidden depths and unseen inhabitants, held on to its secrets, whispering them only to those who dared to listen. In the wake of the paranormal investigation, the Pikman family, driven by an insatiable need for answers, delved into the murky depths of the Sallie House's past. The history they uncovered was a tapestry of tragedy and mystery, threads of which seemed to lead inexorably back to the spirit they knew as Sallie. Their research revealed that the house, standing unassumingly in Atchison, Kansas, had been witness to more than its fair share of sorrow. Records hinted at the existence of a young girl whose life was cut tragically short. A girl who could very well be the Sallie that seemed so intimately tied to the disturbances within the house. Yet, the details of her life and her death were shrouded in speculation. Some said she died following a botched surgery, her last moments filled with pain and fear, her trust in those meant to heal her irrevocably betrayed. But as the family dug deeper, a chilling realization dawned upon them. Sallie might not be the only spirit wandering the halls of their home. Other names emerged from the house's long history, each carrying their own tales of untimely demise within its walls. There were whispers of former residents, their lives marked by tragedy, who seemed unable to leave the site of their earthly sufferings. These revelations painted a picture of a house that was more than just a structure of wood and stone. It was a repository of unresolved grief, a focal point where the energies of those past lives converged. The family began to understand that the haunting was not merely the actions of a single displaced spirit, but a complex web of entities, each bound to the house by their own unfinished stories. The air within the Sallie house grew heavier with these revelations, a palpable tension that seemed to acknowledge the uncovering of its secrets. The Pikmans could not help but feel the weight of unseen eyes upon them, a silent audience to their discovery. The more they learned, the more the house seemed to respond, as if the act of peeling back its history only served to stir the spirits further. As they pieced together the fragments of the past, the Pikman family found themselves standing at the crossroads of history and the supernatural, their home a bridge between the living and the dead. The knowledge they had gained offered some solace, a framework to understand the hauntings, but it also underscored the profound mystery that enveloped their lives. They were left to ponder the true nature of the entities that shared their home, each revelation adding depth to the enigma of the Sallie house and the spirits that dwelled within its walls. As the reality of their situation settled like dust in the corners of the Sallie house, the Pikman family found themselves adapting to a life far removed from the ordinary. Living with the unknown became a daily challenge, each day a test of their resilience and unity. The hauntings, once a source of terror, morphed into a constant undercurrent in their lives, influencing everything from sleep patterns to conversations at the dinner table. Tony and Deborah, once just a couple navigating the ups and downs of marriage, now found themselves partners in a relentless quest for normalcy amidst the chaos. Their relationship, tested by the inexplicable and the unseen, grew stronger in some ways, the shared experiences forging a bond that was as much about survival as it was about love. Yet, the stress of living in a haunted house took its toll. moments of doubt and fear seeping into their interactions, leaving them at times feeling isolated even in each other's presence. Determined to reclaim their home and lives from the spirits that had laid claim to them, the Pikmans turned to a variety of methods in an effort to cleanse the house. They invited spiritual advisors, each bringing their own beliefs and practices, in the hope that one might succeed where others had failed. Rituals were performed, sage was burned, and prayers were offered up, each act a plea for peace and a return to normalcy. But the house, with its deep-rooted history and its myriad of spirits, seemed resistant to these efforts. Some rituals appeared to bring temporary respite, a brief silence that hinted at a possible end to the hauntings. Yet, these moments of peace were fleeting, shattered by the resurgence of activity that seemed, at times, to mock their efforts. The family's journey through the haunting became a testament to the complexities of the human spirit in the face of the inexplicable. The challenges they faced, both supernatural and mundane, highlighted the depth of their resilience, their capacity for hope, and the strength found in standing together against the unseen forces that sought to disrupt their lives. As the story of the Pikman family and the Sallie House unfolds, it becomes a narrative not just of hauntings and the supernatural, but of the human condition itself. Their struggle to cope with the haunting, their efforts to cleanse their home, speaks to the broader experience of confronting fear, the unknown, and the power of faith and family in the darkest of times. In the end, the tale of the Sallie House and its inhabitants, both living and dead, serves as a poignant reminder of the indelible mark that history and memory leave on the present, a whisper from the past that continues to echo through the halls of time. In a quiet town of Atchison, Kansas, the story of the Sallie House had transcended the walls of the haunted dwelling, igniting a fire of public fascination that drew individuals from all walks of life. Ghost hunters, armed with their cameras and EVP recorders, skeptics looking to debunk the tales, and the merely curious, all found themselves on the doorstep of the infamous house, eager to catch a glimpse of the otherworldly. The once obscure residence had become a beacon for those intrigued by the paranormal, its reputation growing with each whispered story and captured anomaly. Amidst this growing attention, the Pikman family found themselves at a crossroads. The experiences within the Sallie House had woven themselves into the fabric of their lives, leaving marks that were both seen and unseen. The decision to leave was not made lightly. It was the culmination of countless sleepless nights, unexplained occurrences, and the relentless feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The weight of their experiences hung heavy on their shoulders as they packed their belongings, each item a reminder of the life they had tried to build among the spirits that claimed the house as their own. The departure of the Pikman family from the Sallie House was marked by a mixture of relief and sorrow. Relief at the prospect of escaping the constant presence of the unknown, and sorrow for the home they had hoped to make in its halls. The aftermath of their departure was a period of adjustment, as they sought to find normalcy in a world that had been irrevocably altered by their experiences. The echoes of the house followed them, whispers in the night that reminded them of the reality they had lived. The story of the Sallie House, and a family that had dared to call it home, became a part of the lore of Atchison. Their experiences, shared through interviews and recounted in hushed tones, added layers to the house's mystique, drawing more attention to its doors. The public's fascination with the house persisted, a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown and the unseen. As the Pikman family moved forward, the Sallie House remained, its windows like eyes watching over the town. The departure of the family did not mark the end of its story, but rather the beginning of a new chapter. As the house awaited its next inhabitants, the next witnesses to its haunting legacy, the tale of the Sallie House, with its blend of fear, curiosity, and the unexplainable, continues to captivate, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the world of the living from the realms of the spirits. As the sun sets over the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets of Atchison, Kansas, the Sallie House stands as a silent sentinel, its dark windows peering into the soul of the town. Today, it remains more than just a structure of brick and wood. It has become a landmark, a beacon for those who tread the fine line between skepticism and belief, between the known and the unknown. The house, with its storied past and enigmatic presence, continues to draw paranormal enthusiasts from across the globe, each seeking answers to questions that have long remained whispered in the dark. The mystery of the Sallie House, with its layers of history and hauntings, persists undiminished by time. Its walls, if they could speak, would tell tales of fear, curiosity, and the unyielding quest for understanding. The experiences of the Pikman family, etched into the very essence of the house, serve as a reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the one that lies just beyond your sight. In the quiet moments, when the wind whispers through the trees and the world seems to hold its breath, we are left to ponder the nature of the haunting that grips the Sallie House. What did the Pikman family truly experience within its confines? Was it the restless spirit of Sallie, seeking company or retribution, or were they the manifestations of something deeper, something intrinsic to the fabric of the universe itself? These questions beckon us to consider the broader mysteries of life after death, of spirits that linger, and the energies that bind them to places of significance. The Sallie House, in its eerie quietude, challenges our understanding of the supernatural, pushing us to confront the possibility of worlds that intersect with our own in ways we can scarcely comprehend. As our story draws to a close, the Sallie House remains a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown. It stands as a gateway to the past, to the stories of those who have walked its halls, both living and departed. And as night falls, enveloping the house in darkness, we are left to wonder about the secrets it keeps, about the tales let untold that linger in the shadows. The legacy of the Sallie House, with its tales of hauntings and the echoes of the past, invites us to reflect on the nature of our existence and the mysteries that lie beyond the realm of our understanding. In the end, it is not just a story of a haunted house, but a journey into the heart of the unknown, a reminder that some mysteries remain, forever shrouded in the shadows, waiting for the next brave soul to seek them out. As we draw the curtains on the chilling saga of the Sallie House, it's imperative to pause and reflect on the journey we've embarked upon together. A journey that has, no doubt, led us down the shadowy corridors of the unknown, where the veil between our world and the one that lies beyond is at its thinnest, almost imperceptible. The Sallie House, with its dark history and unsettling occurrences, serves as a stark reminder of the enigmatic forces that reside just beyond the edge of our understanding. The tales of flickering lights, unexplained fires, and a ghostly figure of a young girl have not only captivated our imaginations, but also instilled a deep sense of apprehension and fear. It's this fear, rooted in the unknown, that compels us to question what lies beyond the realm of our perception. As we ponder the story of the Sallie House, it's important to consider the unsettling possibility that there are entities, forces, or spirits that can indeed cross the boundary that separates their world from ours. These entities, whether they be the spirits of the departed or something far more ancient and mysterious, seem to make their presence felt in the most terrifying ways imaginable. The evidence, as anecdotal and elusive as it may be, challenges our understanding of the world and forces us to confront the reality that we may not be alone. The fear and apprehension that this story invokes are not merely a byproduct of the tale itself, but a reflection of our own innate dread of the unknown. It's a reminder that the universe is vast, filled with mysteries that we have yet to unravel, and perhaps some that we are not meant to. The Sallie House, with its unexplained phenomena, does not just tell a story of hauntings and ghostly apparitions. It whispers of a deeper, more profound truth about our existence and the fragile boundary that separates our world from the next. As we conclude this story, let it not be an end, but a beginning. a starting point for deeper exploration into the mysteries that surround us, a call to gaze into the shadows with both fear and fascination. Let the tale of the Sallie House be a reminder that the world is filled with wonders and horrors beyond our understanding. And sometimes, just sometimes, they cross over into our realm, leaving us forever changed. So, as we step away from the Sallie House and back into the comforting light of our everyday lives, let us not forget the shadows that linger just out of sight. For in those shadows lie questions that challenge our perception of reality, questions that perhaps we are not yet ready to answer. In the shadows of our understanding, where the lines between the seen and unseen blur, lies the haunting tale of the Sallie House, a narrative that weaves through the fabric of reality, challenging our perceptions and leaving an indelible mark on the veil that separates our world from the one that whispers just beyond our reach. As we draw the curtain on this chilling saga, it's time to reflect on the journey we've undertaken into the heart of darkness and back, and the lessons that linger in the cold air that surrounds this enigmatic abode. The story of the Sallie House is not just a tale of hauntings and spectral presences. It is a mirror reflecting our deepest fears, our unspoken thoughts, and the universal quest to understand what lies beyond the final breath. It invites us to question the reality we hold true, to gaze into the abyss and ponder the unsettling possibility that entities unseen and perhaps unfathomable can cross the thresholds we believe to be impenetrable, making their presence known in ways that chill us to the very core. This journey into the unknown compels us to consider the fragility of the barrier between the known and the unknown. The experiences recounted by the Pikman family, marked by fear, mystery, and the unexplainable, serve as a testament to the profound impact such encounters can have on the human psyche. It's a stark reminder that, despite our advances in knowledge and technology, there remain forces, entities, and phenomena that defy logical explanation, residing in the spaces just out of sight, waiting in the silence. As we conclude this narrative, let us carry with us the cautionary tales of the Sallie House, a reminder of the mysteries that lie in wait in the shadows of our world. Let it serve as an invitation to open our minds to the possibilities of the paranormal, the supernatural, and the unexplained, and to acknowledge the thin, often imperceptible veil that separates our reality from the realms beyond. In the end, the story of the Sallie House leaves us with more questions than answers, a puzzle whose pieces may never fully come together. Yet, it beckons us to keep seeking, to keep questioning, and to remain ever vigilant of the signs that the past, with all its secrets and shadows, might just be reaching out to us in the present, urging us to listen, to learn, and to wonder about the mysteries that persist just beyond the edge of our understanding. So, as we step away from the flickering candlelight that illuminates the tales of the Sallie House, let us not forget the feeling of apprehension, the shiver down our spine, and the curiosity that drives us to explore the darkness. For in the pursuit of understanding the unknown, we may just discover more about our world, our history, and ourselves. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of darkness and light, into the realm where the ghostly and the earthly intertwine. Until we meet again, keep the candle burning, the mind open, and the spirit curious. For in the tales of the haunted and the haunting, we find not just stories of fear, but of the unbreakable human spirit, forever seeking, forever questioning, in the eternal dance with the unknown. Good night, dear listeners, and remember, In the shadows of our understanding, there lies not just fear, but the possibility of wonder and awe. Keep listening, keep wondering, and may your journey through the mysteries of this world be ever enlightening.